liquor stores in town, they read it.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Barbara. I'm Barbara Canelopoulos, and I'm here today with members of the Falmouth Gun Buyback Coalition. And they are Nan Logan, Richard Duby, Tom Stone, and Ann Stone. And we're very excited about Falmouth Gun Buyback Day, which is coming right up. Richard, can you tell viewers something about what's going to happen on that day?
Certainly. It's June 9th from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. And we will be asking people to bring to the Falmouth Police Department any unwanted firearms that are in the house. And they can be rifles, they can be pistols. We are also accepting ammunition. Anything that people have by way of firearms that is unwanted, we feel that we want to attempt to remove a danger from the households of Falmouth. And to that end, we started this and we are accepting firearms that day.
Okay, that's great. And Tom, I understand there's been lots of enthusiasm. This coalition is involving many, many organizations in Falmouth.
Yes, we have. I've been very pleased with the amount of support that's come from the community on this. We've had, I think, over 60 individuals who've donated to it. We've had half a dozen churches, and so it's donated to it as well too. The district attorney made a significant contribution. Falmouth Hospital has donated to it. I think people understand that this is a gun safety issue, and that it's important to get these unused or unwanted guns out of the household.
And when people come with their guns, they'll be rewarded with.
Yes, we have two categories of guns. We have semi-automatic, and those will be rewarded with a $75 food gift card. And other guns would be rewarded with a $50 food gift card. And we also will accept, as I think Rich said, ammunition and pellet guns, and those will just be destroyed. There's no reward for those. But
so that even those guns can be dangerous.
Yes, and all of these guns will be destroyed, the ones that we get.
I see. We should point out to viewers that there was an error in the enterprise about the amount of the gift card. It should be 75.
It's 75 for semi-automatic. The mistake was that they put in 15, so it should be 75 for semi-automatic weapons and $50 for other types of guns.
I see. Well, now this is for Falmouth. This is the second time this has been done. But I understand, Nan, that you have been inspired by what other communities have done.
Exactly. There is quite a tradition of this in Worcester. There's a pediatrician, Michael Hirsch, who has been doing this for a dozen years out there. Typically, he does it in December. They have the buyback. They get support from the hospitals there, from their district attorney, and from their community and their police departments. And even after doing this for a dozen years, last December, they brought in over 200 guns at that one. So people are taking the opportunity to turn in guns that they no longer want in the home. There might have been a reason at some time to have them, or perhaps they came by the guns because someone had died and left their gun in the home or whatever. And this gives them an opportunity to turn those in to food that might be something that they need. And that's what we're looking for.
Good. And certainly, and we can speak to the notion that this has nothing to do with political persuasions one way or the other.
Absolutely. We've had, this is a bipartisan thing. It's not an anti-gun, pro-gun kind of thing. It's a public health issue that we're addressing here. It's a community safety event. And we've had support from both our representatives from Falmouth, Dylan Fernandez and David Vieira. Also, Senator DiMacedo they all have supported it. In fact, David Vieira has given us wonderful advice on how to proceed and some of the details. So we've been very heartened by the support.
We can expect a pretty exciting day, and certainly the issue of gun safety is something you've been concerned with for a long time.
Yes, I am the member of the coalition that is actually the sole gun owner on the coalition. And yes, gun safety in the home has been something that I've been very concerned with. This is something that, as Ann was alluding to, is a public health issue. Guns in the household can only exist when people are trained and how to use the firearms. Anybody who is living in a household that has guns and has not been trained, as Nan was speaking to, perhaps a gun was left by somebody, somebody who's passed on. Perhaps they simply have never learned how to use the gun. The gun poses a danger. Rather than just allowing it to remain a threat, this is a way of benefiting the community and benefiting the individual by allowing them to turn the firearm in and receiving something for it. In this case, a gift card for food.
And there's an issue. Somebody may have a gun that they think is an antique. We are all interested. You know, that item that's in the attic for years, suddenly you see on television.
Antiques Roadshow.
Right. Yeah. What? So if somebody has a gun that they think is valuable,
we will be examining, myself and the members of the Falmouth Police Department will be examining all firearms when they come in. If we determine that it is either a historical firearm, we will certainly alert the person who is coming into that. If it's a very valuable firearm, we will alert the person to that. We have no intention of claiming historical pieces and destroying them. Right. So yes, we will be on the watch for that.
Good. Well, this is the kind of thing I think that everyone would be really interested in. And you would be interested in the fact that some people may not want to take a gift card. So what can they do?
Well, if they don't want the gift cards, we'll have a box there, and they can put the gift cards that they don't want in the box, and we will take them to the Falmouth Service Center. Also, if there's any gift cards left over because we don't get enough guns that come in, all of those gift cards will go to the Falmouth Service Center, which they will give them away to their people who visit them as well. So there will be no waste in this operation. So the gift cards will find another life at the Falmouth Service Center.
Right. So we are encouraging viewers to look around their houses and bring in anything, a gun that they think has been hanging around for a long time. Why would, what are some of the reasons why people might have a gun somewhere in an attic or a basement? Is it?
Lots of times, I was recently called to somebody's house to look at a shotgun.
Yes.
And this shotgun was some 100 and some odd years old. The shotgun has been in the family for generations. The shotgun is unsafe in that it was made in a manner that they made them that long ago of Damascus steel.
Yes.
And Damascus steel cannot...
Full disclosure, that was my great-uncle's shotgun.
Okay, thank you. And Damascus steel simply will not contain the pressures of today's loads. So were you to take a modern-day shotgun and put one of those rounds in it, that gun, more than likely, those barrels would just unravel.
Oh, my God.
They couldn't take the load. So guns like that around the house are not only a danger in the sense that they can be used with old ammunition, but they're a danger in that if they're used with new ammunition, so those guns best be turned in.
That was a revelation to me. Like so many people, it was upon his death, it was among his things that he left to us, and there's a sentimental attachment. But I think you have pointed out that sometimes these guns are stolen.
Well, if it's unwanted and untended and it's in an unsafe location, it's a perfect opportunity for somebody. If somebody breaks in, I think the first thing they will get will be any guns or any drugs are in the house, and money may be third on the list. So once it's out into the illegal community, so to speak, it could be used in a robbery or something like that.
The interesting statistics is 500,000 guns are stolen in this country.
Really?
And therefore, they're out in the community, no background check, no waiting period.
Right.
They're out there.
Right.
So, I mean, there's another safety aspect of this.
Yes,
gun buyback.
definitely. When you say this is a public safety issue, I can see you are so right. No political connections at all. This is just what we need to keep our communities safe.
Yeah. I do want to mention the fact that there's an amnesty for gun owners who do not have a license, that the district attorney has made that day, Gun Buyback Day, a day of amnesty for those people who don't have a license and will be transporting the gun to the event.
I see. That's right. Someone may be concerned about getting it from the house to the police station.
A one-day amnesty.
One day. And I understand the selectmen have also made that a proclamation for that day.
They'll be reading a proclamation on next Mondays at the selectmen's meeting as well too. It wasn't our idea, this was the selectmen's idea to have a proclamation on this. And so it's going to be called Gun Safety Day as well as Falmouth Gun Buyback Day as well too. So that'll be next Monday night at the selectmen's meeting.
And let's remind viewers that it's June 9th, which is coming right up.
Right.
And the hours?
9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we ask that people who bring guns either have them in a case or a bag of some sort. If they don't have either, to just leave them in the cars, and a member of the Falmouth Police Department will come over and assist them in bringing them in.
Oh, good, good. Now, you have talked about your inspiration from Worcester. I was going to turn to Anne to ask what inspired you to become involved in the coalition.
Well, I think this is something that's, as people see in this society, people are getting more and more concerned about gun safety. And I am a healthcare professional. I see it as a public health issue. So that's why I wanted to become involved.
Yes, we have far too many episodes of this. It may be that the recent shooting in Texas, the young man had his father's gun.
Right.
Yes, he had his father's gun, and to dispel any myths, he had a shotgun and a revolver. I mean, this was not the classic. So these are the type of guns, shotguns and revolvers, that tend to be in houses. This is much more so than what we're so desperately afraid of, the AR-15s and what have you.
We also got endorsement by the Falmouth School Committee. We went to their meeting and we were thrilled to get a unanimous endorsement from the school committee. I think these are people who are dealing with the question every day with the children to make sure that people are safe in that situation. So that was reassuring. The support we've had from around the community, I think the first big supporters we had was the Chamber of Commerce. That was one. Frankly, I wasn't sure that we would get such a strong endorsement for them. And then they informed all their members. The Woods Hole Community Association, the Woods Hole Business Association, the Falmouth Jewish Community, the Quakers, the St. Anthony's Church. So it's of course the Waquoit Congregational Church, and Nell Fields has been such a supporter of so many important things in the community, and she just stepped up and said yes, she would be glad to offer their church as the 501c3 as our financial receiver for this. And that's an enormous amount of work that they have put in, receiving the donations from the community, from individuals, from groups, and we just can't thank them enough. It's just remarkable what she was willing just to put out there. It's really opened up the conversation in the way we were hoping. There are so many reasons to do this. One reason is to get guns from places where they might not be well taken care of. But the other thing is to open up the conversation, to remind people that gun ownership can be very interesting. It can be quite a hobby, but it requires a lot of respect of the guns and safety and being aware of who's in the home, who might be at risk if there's a gun there.
I know. So. And it's the kind of thing that people may not be thinking about because the gun's been there for such a long time. You sort of forget that it's there, not realizing that it does present a danger.
It does.
And so
It's much the same when you see that you can turn in unwanted pharmaceuticals, unwanted drugs to the Falmouth Police Department. They represent a danger just being in the house. Somebody could misuse them, somebody could use drugs that are old. And so this is sort of in that same category.
The risk factors increase for suicide, homicide, accidents in households that have guns.
Really?
The suicide risk is, different studies vary, but it's as high as almost 4 to 5 times the risk of suicide in a household that has a gun versus a household without a gun. Homicide, 2 to 3 times the risk. And then you've got accidents as well. And then for every fatality, there are 2 to 3 times the accidents and the injuries that occur from, it's not just the fatalities, it's the injuries as well.
Right. Many people are not aware. I know that this comes as news to me, but it makes a lot of sense if somebody's contemplating ending his or her life and there is a gun available. It just makes it happen swiftly, which is such a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
Right. But it seems to me that given this kind of support from the community, that this is something that's got to be on everybody's mind. Right?
It is.
The time has come.
And the Falmouth Police Department has really stepped up. The chief has been incredibly cooperative with us, provided all sorts of assistance for us. And as I said, it's being held at the Falmouth Police Department, but we can't say enough about the chief and all the people who work for him.
And the example of Worcester has taught this coalition some lessons about how to go about this?
Oh, exactly, about making sure that we publicize it as thoroughly as we can so that we can encourage people who would want to participate. We've had support from the newspaper, from the Enterprise. The ads that they ran last week and will be running again for us were something that was their contribution to the effort. So those kinds of things, and making sure we have full participation by the police department and by the district attorney. It's
Good.
It's some things that we might not have known to do. I mean, the whole possibility of the participation by the district attorney. I'm not sure that would have occurred to us. But it's been very helpful. And the people who had been involved with the buyback 5 years ago. So we're expecting that we have a different time of year that we're doing this buyback than the other one. The other one was in the winter. So that was the year-round people who were there.
Right.
For that, and with the help of the church there. And so we don't know. Maybe that was the last 206 guns that were untended in Falmouth that wanted to come in. However, I'm expecting that because we're a different time of year and we're getting the summer people that are coming back in.
Yes.
And that don't, and they're opening up the cottage and they're saying, what's this doing here? How did this get here? Maybe it's time to get rid of it. I had a conversation with somebody saying, well, time for you to turn in your guns. Well, I was just kidding with this person, but he said, actually, I've got 2 guns in the house. Dear, where are they? I think they're down in the, no, I think maybe they were in the attic, but it was that sort of thing
typical.
That people, their life situation changes.
Yes.
They no longer want one or need one or for whatever reason. And perhaps this will encourage them to look in that closet or down in that cellar, up in that attic, and turn that in for food for themselves or for somebody else. So.
Well, it seems to me, given what you've said, the timing is perfect because Memorial Day is the time when everyone comes and our population explodes in the summer. So they have so many more people to check out their houses. So
And we can't stress enough, too, that if somebody is unsure of the weapon that they have in the house, if they don't know whether it's unloaded or they don't know how to check if it's unloaded, to contact the Falmouth Police Department, and they will dispatch an officer to the home.
Oh, good.
And they'll assist them. So we don't want anybody taking any risks.
Right.
We want this done as safely as possible.
Do you suppose that could be done, let's say a person misses the June 9th and still has a question about their gun?
Falmouth Police Department has told us that they've done this numbers of times.
Great,
That
great.
somebody has to do is call up Falmouth Police Department. They will dispatch an officer.
Very, very good. So you are expecting a good turnout, right?
We hope.
Right.
We're
We
looking
hope.
forward to. Yes.
No, are you all going to be there?
Yes.
we will.
Certainly.
And
We
it's-
will. We all have sort of chores to do that
Right,
day.
I see.
We'll be. Do you want to speak about identifying the numbers or?
Well, what we will be doing is there will be people in the parking lot who will be assisting people who are coming to turn in weapons. Then, as you get into the police department itself, there'll be police officers and myself who will be checking to make sure that there are no historical pieces. The guns will be turned in. The Falmouth Police Department will then record each gun that's turned in.
Right.
We will be destroying all the weapons. And in the past, what has happened is with a lot of these buybacks, there are companies that go to the buyback and say they will destroy the weapons. But in essence, what they do is they take the weapons and they harvest parts off them and resell them. And then whatever they don't use, they destroy. That's not the case with us. The weapons, the firing mechanism, and the barrels will definitely be destroyed, so there will be no parts left to harvest on
It
these.
sounds to me as if you, what you've just described sounds like recycling, but it sounds as if you're not too much in favor of
We
this.
said that the first meeting that we had. We did not want to recycle guns.
Right.
That was not our objective. So yes, we are making certain of that, and the entire coalition, all members of it, are in favor
I
of doing
see,
it that way.
I see.
And we have found somebody. We are not disclosing a location. The police don't want us to. But we have found somebody who is cooperating with us and will destroy exactly what we tell them to. So.
How are
The
they?
other part of that, I
Yeah.
think you didn't quite finish, in that we also will be giving the gift cards out to the gun owners as well, and setting aside ones that which they may want to donate to
Yes.
the service center. So that's the other part of it as well
Right.
too. So
Right.
Right.
Right. Now, they're going to be destroyed.
Yes.
All right. And there's a protocol for destroying?
Yes, it's, and I really don't want to get technical about it, but what you can harvest from a gun, even an old gun, is the firing mechanism. That being the trigger, the sear, the firing pin, a number of other things. And you can resell that. And somebody can build a gun from that. So we wanted to make certain that
Yes.
didn't happen.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
we went up and spoke to the people who were going to destroy the weapons, they showed us the machinery that they will use, and
Right.
we certified that, yep, that's what's going to happen.
That's-
And we'll be observing and we'll be recording the ones as they're
Very
destroyed.
good.
So,
This, I am so impressed with the thoroughness of your planning from the beginning to the end. And it's a wonderful, wonderful cause. And so now let's once again remind viewers, because it's coming right up, it's June 9th.
Right. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Right.
at the Falmouth Police Department.
which is
That's great.
750 Main Street, I think,
Yes.
in Falmouth here, and I'll be out there directing traffic, or helping a
Right,
policeman
right.
direct traffic.
What day of the week is the 9th?
That's a Saturday
Oh,
morning.
it's a Saturday morning.
Right.
Perfect.
we'll do it
Right.
rain or shine.
Yep.
Yes.
So regardless of the weather, which we know might be risking a little bit here, that might be the
yes.
biggest risk we
Cape
have in this,
Cod.
but we'll proceed anyway. We hope for fair weather and a good turnout, and we want to be able to help people take care of what they want.
One
I
other
think-
thing,
yes.
one other thing we'll probably do at the end of this is to sit down and write how you might, if somebody else wants to do it, how you might want to do a gun buyback yourself. And what are the things we've learned, put them on a 1-page or a 2-page, because there was nothing like that when we started it. We talked to different people and so forth. Well, you want to do that, you want to do this. We'll try to write up a 1-page kind of thing about the
That is such a
nuts and
great
bolts about
idea,
a gun
so
buyback.
that the next time this happens, you don't have to sort of reinvent the process. It
Right,
will be
right.
there.
Right.
And for instance, we are identifying it as the Falmouth gun buyback. We don't think we can really support the guns from the entire Cape. However, if we have this kind of how to do, perhaps Barnstable would want to do it.
Right.
Perhaps
Oh,
some of
I
the other
see.
towns would be able to take it, and some of the groups out there might come together to do this the same project.
What
so.
good thinking.
Yes.
It's taking a successful event and spreading
Yes.
the news, the how to do it. That is perhaps producing a folder, a leaflet, a booklet, and you'll have a chance to find out what doesn't work. Perhaps you
Right,
want to introduce music or something of that sort.
Well, if we do it again in 5 years, will you promise to have us back on?
Yes, definitely, definitely. And as a citizen, I want to thank you very much for your effort. It is work really worth doing, and so I thank you all very much.
And we really want to thank you for
Yes.
helping us get the
Yes.
word out,
Yes.
because we could do as much as we wanted, but if we couldn't
Right.
get the word out,
Yes.
it wasn't going to have the results.
right,
So
right.
thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
And viewers, start looking around for that gun that's hanging around your house. It is a wonderful chance to get rid of it finally.
And
Good.
get a food card.
Yes, yes, right. So I thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for viewing. We'll see you next time on Conversations with Barbara.